The world is a shifting canvas of gray and darker gray. You are awake, though you feel you have not truly slept. Sleep is a luxury seldom afforded on the open water. A brief, shallow dive into unconsciousness before the cold or the sharp cry of a gull pulls you back to the surface. You lie wedged between two slumbering forms on the open deck, your sea chest a hard, unyielding pillow beneath your head. There are no cabins, no private spaces, only the shared misery and camaraderie of the 30 other men who are your brothers in this venture. The air you breathe is a cocktail of scents. The biting brine of the sea, the damp, animal smell of wet wool and unwashed bodies, the faint, lingering aroma of smoked fish from last night's meager meal, and overriding it all, the deep, resinous perfume of the pine tar that waterproofs the hull. It's a smell that will cling to your clothes, your hair, and your memories long after this voyage is over. You shift your weight, the muscles in your back and shoulders aching from hours of rowing yesterday, a deep, persistent soreness that has become a constant companion. Your bed for the night, and for every night of this journey, is a large, greasy leather bag stuffed with fleece, a huafat. You share its dubious warmth with Bjorn, a mountain of a man whose snores are a low, rumbling thunder that seems to vibrate through the very planks of the ship. The bag, made of waterproofed sheepskin, does a passable job of keeping the worst of the sea spray from soaking you to the bone. But a damp chill has still managed to find its way into your joints. You pull the rough edge of the bag tighter around your shoulders, the lanolin in the wool offering a small, slick barrier against the moisture. Above you, the single great square sail, a patchwork of dyed woolen strips, hangs limp and heavy with dew in the windless air. Its silence is unnerving. For days, it has been a constant presence, snapping and cracking in the wind, a loud, demanding beast that propelled you forward. Now, its quiet stillness means the burden falls back upon your arms. The rhythmic creak and groan of the ship's timbers is the only sound, a constant, low-voiced complaint as the hull flexes with the swell of the waves. It's a sound you've come to know intimately, the ship's own language, telling you of the stresses and strains it endures. You can distinguish the deeper groan of the keel from the higher-pitched creak of the mast step. You slide a hand out from the warmth of the sleeping bag, your fingers brushing against the cold, damp wood of the deck. The planks are rough beneath your touch, worn smooth in some places and splintered in others. You can feel the subtle, ceaseless motion of the sea, a gentle, rocking cradle that could just as easily become a tomb. A shiver runs through you, but it is not entirely from the cold. It is the familiar thrill, the sharp edge of anticipation that always precedes a raid. You are a wolf of the sea, and you are nearing the hunt. Your gaze drifts towards the prow, where the fearsome dragon head, with its painted eyes and bared teeth, stares impassively into the mist. It is meant to strike fear into the hearts of your enemies, to ward off the malevolent spirits of the sea, the Draugr and the great Kraken. But in this quiet, spectral light, it seems like a silent god, leading you towards a fate already written by the Norns. You believe in that fate, in word. Your thread has been spun, measured, and one day it will be cut. But not today. Today, you will add to its length, dye it red with glory and rich with silver. You hear a stirring nearby. It is Einar, the skipper, his silhouette a dark shape against the lightening sky. He stands near the steering oar at the stern, his gaze fixed on the horizon, though there is nothing to see but the shifting curtain of fog. He is a man of few words, his face a roadmap of weathered lines carved by sun and sea salt. His authority is absolute, earned not through birth, but through his uncanny ability to read the water, to smell a coming storm, and to find land where none seems to exist. He is the reason you are all still alive. You watch as he raises a hand, a silent signal. A few other figures begin to stir, disentangling themselves from their sleeping bags. The day is beginning. There is no gentle awakening here, No slow transition from slumber to wakefulness. You simply are asleep, and then you are not. You push yourself up, your body stiff and protesting. The cold air bites at your exposed face and hands. You take a moment, letting your eyes adjust, taking in the familiar scene of the Longship, your home, and your weapon. It is a beautiful, deadly thing. Its overlapping oak planks, the clinker-built design, giving it a flexibility that allows it to ride the waves rather than fight them. It feels alive beneath you, a serpent of wood and iron, and you are one of its scales. You swing your legs out from the sleeping bag, your bare feet meeting the shockingly cold, wet surface of the deck. A gasp escapes your lips, turning into a white plume in the frigid air. You quickly reach for your term shoes, simple leather footwear that offers little in the way of warmth, but protects your soles from splinters. They are stiff with cold and damp, and you have to work your feet into them. Around you, the ship is slowly coming to life. Men are sitting up, grumbling, stretching their aching limbs. The sounds multiply. The soft rustle of leather and wool, the low coughs, the quiet murmur of voices, speaking in the clipped, guttural tones of Old Norse. There is a sense of shared purpose, a well-practiced routine that requires few words. Everyone knows their role, their place in this floating community. Your first task is to relieve yourself over the side of the ship, a precarious act of balance that you have long since mastered. You grip a rope stay tightly, leaning out over the churning gray water, careful not to lose your footing on the slick planks. The cold spray that rises to meet you is a brutal, effective way to banish the last vestiges of sleep. Returning to your spot, you find your sea chest, a sturdy wooden box that contains all your worldly possessions. A spare tunic, a whetstone, a comb carved from bone, and a small, intricately carved wooden horse your daughter pressed into your hand before you left. You run a thumb over its smooth surface, the simple object a powerful link to the world you left behind, to the farmstead and the family that await your return. The thought of them is a fire in your belly, a reason for being here, for enduring this hardship. You are not just here for glory or for the thrill of the raid. You are here for them, for the silver that will buy more land, better livestock, and a secure future. You open the chest and pull out your breakfast. There is no fire on board, no cooking galley. Hot meals are a luxury for when you are on land. Here, on the sea, the diet is one of preservation and practicality. Your meal consists of a piece of harwisker, wind-dried cod that is as hard as a wooden board, and a small chunk of dark, dense rye bread. You chew on the fish, your jaw working hard to break down the tough, fibrous meat. It is intensely salty, the taste of the ocean concentrated into every bite. You wash it down with a swig of sour whey from a waterskin, the fermented dairy drink a common staple on long voyages, less prone to spoiling than fresh water. It is a meager, unsatisfying meal, but it is fuel. It is what keeps you going. As you eat, you watch Einar confer with the navigator, a man named Ulf. Ulf is old, his eyes a pale, faded blue that seem to hold the memory of 1,000 coastlines. He holds a small, clear crystal up to the brightening sky, even though the sun is still hidden behind the thick blanket of cloud. It is a solar stein, a sunstone. You have seen him use it before, rotating it slowly, watching the way the light polarizes as it passes through the crystal. It is a form of sea magic to you, a way of finding the sun's position, even when it is invisible, a secret knowledge that separates the master mariner from the common sailor. After a moment, Ulf points a gnarled finger towards the port side, a direction that seems no different from any other in the uniform gray. Einar nods, his expression unreadable. He turns and gives the order, his voice not loud but carrying a natural authority that cuts through the morning air. Arar T, oars out. The command echoes down the length of the ship. The quiet murmuring ceases, replaced by the sounds of determined action. Men move to their positions, unlashing the long, slender oars from the sides of the ship. These oars, over 5 meters long, are the ship's true engines when the wind fails. You find your place on one of the rowing benches, the rough-hewn wood familiar beneath you. You take your position next to Bjorn, the giant from your sleeping bag. The two of you will work as a pair on this oar. The bench is nothing more than a plank, and your sea chest will serve as your seat. You wrap your hands around the smooth, worn shaft of the oar. The wood is cold and slick with sea spray. You look at the back of the man in front of you. His movement's your guide. Another command rings out from Einar. Hafa Ararwai show. Oars in the water. With a unified grunt of exertion, 30 oars are lowered, their blades slicing into the gray water with a soft splash. The ship lurches slightly as the immense weight is transferred. Then comes the final command, the one that will dictate your life for the next several hours. Ra. Row. The man in front of you pulls back, and you mirror his motion, putting your back and legs into the stroke. The oar feels immensely heavy at first, the water a thick, resistant sludge. But then the rhythm takes over. Pull, release. Pull, release. The sounds of the ship change once more. The gentle creaking is now accompanied by the rhythmic thud and splash of the oars, the grunts of exertion from the men, the squeak of wood against the leather grommets of the oarports. It is a hypnotic, grueling symphony of labor. Your world shrinks to the space around you, the straining back of the man in front, the feel of the oar in your hands, the burn in your muscles, the spray of cold water on your face. This is the price of the raid, the hard work that underpins the lightning-fast attack. You are forging your path to the coast of Northumbria, one stroke at a time, your sweat and toil paying for the speed and surprise that are your greatest weapons. The mist begins to thin as the morning wears on, the uniform gray ceiling of cloud breaking apart into ragged, drifting pieces. Patches of pale blue sky appear, and with them, a weak, watery sunlight that does little to warm the air but brings the world into sharper focus. The sea transforms from a formless, monochrome expanse into a glittering, deep green, its surface alive with a million points of light. You can now see the entire length of your fleet. There are 3 longships in total, moving in loose formation. The other 2 are ghostly silhouettes rising and falling on the swell, their sails also furled, their oars rising and falling in near-perfect synchronicity with your own. The sight is both comforting and intimidating. You are not alone in this hostile sea, but part of a larger, deadly force. The dragon prows of the other ships seem to nod to yours, a silent acknowledgement of your shared purpose. They are a promise of the chaos you'll soon unleash. The rowing continues, relentless and unchanging. Your initial aches have subsided into a dull, throbbing numbness. Your hands are raw, the skin on your palms threatening to blister, despite the calluses you have built up over years of this work. You have learned to dissociate from the pain, to find a place in your mind where the rhythm of the oar is all that exists. Pull, release. Breathe in, breathe out. The world becomes a trance-like state of physical exertion. You watch the seabirds now, gulls and gannets that have begun to circle your ships. Ulf, the navigator, watches them too, his old eyes tracking their flight paths. Their presence is a good sign. It means land is near. He points them out to Einar, who nods without breaking his stoic silence. The men around you see them too, and a low murmur of anticipation ripples through the crew. The mood on the ship begins to subtly shift. The grim determination of the rowing is now tinged with a predatory excitement. Jokes are exchanged in low voices. Boasts are made about the silver to be won and the ale to be drunk. You feel it too, a quickening of your pulse, a familiar fire kindling in your gut. This is the moment you live for, the transition from sailor to warrior. You are no longer just a farmer or a fisherman who has taken to the sea. You are a Viking, a raider, and your purpose is about to be fulfilled. You glance at your weapons. which lie secured by your sea chest. Your shield, made of linden wood and faced with toughened leather, is painted with a simple red and black design that marks you as belonging to Einar's crew. Its iron boss gleams dully in the sunlight. Next to it is your axe. It is not the massive two-handed weapon of sagas, but a smaller, more practical bearded axe, perfectly balanced and lethally sharp. The wooden haft is smooth and dark from the oils of your hand. It is an extension of your arm, a tool you know how to use with brutal efficiency. An hour later, you smell it before you see it. A new scent on the wind, cutting through the clean, salty air of the open ocean. It is the smell of land. It's a complex, earthy aroma, a mixture of damp soil, green, growing things, and the faint, tantalizing scent of wood smoke. It is the smell of life, of settlements, of wealth. It is the smell of your destination. Then you see it. A faint, dark line on the horizon, a smudge between the sea and the sky. Northumbria. The word is spoken like a prayer, or a curse. It is a land of riches, of fat monasteries, and undefended coastal towns. A land of men who pray to a soft god and store their wealth in wooden buildings. A land that has learned to fear the sight of a dragon prow on its shores. Einar gives the command to ship the oars. The relief is instantaneous and profound. You pull your oar in, securing it back in its place. Your muscles scream in protest, trembling with exhaustion. But the sight of land is a powerful restorative. You stand up, stretching your cramped limbs, your eyes fixed on the growing coastline. You can now make out details. The green of rolling hills, the white slash of a sandy beach, and perched on a high remote spit of land, the stone buildings of a large settlement. A monastery. The perfect target. Isolated, wealthy, and protected only by its faith. The sail is unfurled. The wind, which had abandoned you all morning, has returned, a gentle but steady breeze from the northwest. The great woolen square catches the air, billowing out with a deep whoomp. The ship comes alive in a new way, surging forward, the water hissing along its flanks. The speed is exhilarating after the slow, grinding pace of the oars. You are no longer toiling. You are flying. Einar steers the ship with an expert hand, using the wind and the coastal currents to his advantage. He is aiming for a small, secluded cove, a few miles down the coast from the monastery. A place W here you can land unseen. The element of surprise is your most valuable weapon, worth more than any sword or axe. The other two longships follow your lead, their movements precise and coordinated. There is no need for shouted commands between the ships. The plan has been discussed many times over the long days at sea. Every man knows what he must do. You take a piece of cloth and begin to meticulously clean the head of your axe, wiping away any trace of salt or rust. You check the edge with your thumb. It is razor sharp. You are not a mindless brute. You are a professional, and this is your craft. You feel a strange sense of calm settle over you, the pre-battle serenity of a man who has accepted his fate. Your thread may be cut today, on this foreign shore, or you may return to your longship laden with treasure, your name sung in sagas. It is in the hands of the Norns. All you can do is play your part. The approach to the coast is a masterclass in stealth and seamanship. Einar guides the longship not towards the imposing monastery that glitters like a jewel on its headland, but towards a jagged, unwelcoming stretch of shoreline, masked by a series of rocky outcrops. To any observer on the land, you would be all but invisible, your low-slung ship hidden against the dark backdrop of the rocks in the sea. The wind is favorable, pushing you along with a steady, silent pressure. The rhythmic hiss of the water against the hull is the only sound, a serpent's whisper. The tension on board is now a palpable thing, thick and heavy in the air. The boisterous chatter has ceased, replaced by a focused, predatory silence. Men are checking their gear, tightening leather straps, adjusting the fit of their helmets. You do the same, your movements economical and practiced. You pull on a thick, padded wool gambeson, your primary form of armor. It is surprisingly heavy, designed to absorb the shock of a blow, but it is also hot and restrictive. Over this, you wear a leather jerkin for added protection. Mail is a luxury reserved for chieftains and the wealthiest warriors. For you, layers of wool and leather will have to suffice. You place your helmet on your head, a simple conical design with a nasal guard that extends down over your nose. It is cold against your skin, and the world seems to narrow, your vision framed by the steel rim. The helmet changes the way you hear the world, muffling the sounds of the sea and amplifying the sound of your own breathing, which has become quick and shallow. You feel the ship slow, the sound of the hull changing as it enters the shallower water of the cove. Einar gives a series of quiet hand signals. The sail is brought down, not with a rush, but with a controlled, quiet efficiency, the heavy wool folded and stowed in seconds. A few men at the prow and stern take up sounding poles, probing the depth of the water. They call out the measurements in low whispers. Fjordir Famer, 4 fathoms. Krier Falmer, 3 fathoms. You are getting close. You grab your shield and your axe. The shield feels solid and reassuring on your left arm, its weight a familiar burden. You loop your arm through the leather straps, your hand gripping the wooden bar behind the central iron boss. Your axe is in your right hand. It's half slick with nervous sweat. You take a deep, steadying breath, the air still tasting of salt, but now also carrying the loamy scent of the damp earth just ahead. The ship glides into the hidden cove. It is a perfect choice, a narrow inlet of shingle and sand, invisible from the main coastline. The water here is calm, sheltered from the open sea. With a final, gentle lurch, the keel of the Longship scrapes against the gravel of the beach. The sound is shockingly loud in the silence, a harsh grating noise that makes you flinch. But the shore is deserted. There are no watchers, no alarms raised. Your arrival has gone unnoticed. The command comes, a low hiss from Einar. T. Out. There is no hesitation. You swing your legs over the side of the ship, dropping into the thigh-deep, shockingly cold water. The icy shock takes your breath away, a violent jolt to your system. You push forward, your boots sinking into the soft sand and shingle, the water dragging at your legs, threatening to pull you off balance. Around you, 90 men from 3 ships are doing the same, a wave of silent, determined figures emerging from the sea. The water churns with your movement, but the only sounds are the splashing of water and the grunts of exertion as men fight their way to the shore. You scramble up the beach, your woolen trousers heavy with water, clinging to your legs. Once on dry land, you don't stop. You move with purpose, following the others towards the tree line at the edge of the cove. There, under the cover of the gnarled, wind-swept trees, you regroup. Einar is there, his helmet now on, his sword drawn. He confers with the other 2 skippers, their conversation a low, urgent murmur. There is no grand speech, no rousing call to battle. None is needed. Every man here knows the task ahead. You take a knee, catching your breath, your heart pounding against your ribs like a trapped bird. You look at the faces of the men around you. They are tense, their eyes wide and alert, their knuckles white where they grip their weapons. These are farmers, blacksmiths, and fishermen from your own fjord. You have known them your whole life. You have celebrated with them, mourned with them, and now you will fight and possibly die with them. There is a bond here that transcends words, forged in the shared hardships of the voyage and the imminent danger of the raid. Beorn, the giant, gives you a grim nod, his usual jovial face set like stone. He holds a massive, long-hafted axe, a weapon capable of splitting a shield or a man in 2. You look towards the monastery, which is now hidden from view by the terrain. But you can feel its presence, a wealthy, sleeping giant, oblivious to the wolves who have just crept into its fold. The plan is simple: speed and terror. You will move quickly along the coast, using the dunes and hills as cover, and fall upon the monastery before the alarm can be raised. You will be a storm of violence, appearing as if from nowhere, and then you will vanish back into the sea before any organized resistance can be mounted. You push yourself to your feet, your axe feeling strangely light in your hand now. The fear is still there, a cold knot in your stomach, but it is overlaid with a fierce, burning anticipation. Your fate is waiting for you, just over the next hill, and you are running to meet it. The trek towards the monastery is a grueling, silent ordeal. You move in a crouched run, following the low ground, keeping to the lee side of the dunes. The wet wool of your trousers chafes your skin, and the weight of your gear begins to tell. Your breath comes in ragged gasps, the air burning in your lungs. The only sounds are the soft tramp of nearly 100 pairs of leather boots on the sandy soil, the rustle of clothing, and the occasional clink of a weapon hitting a shield. The discipline is absolute. No one speaks. Every man is focused on the task at hand, on moving quickly and quietly. You can see the monastery now, its stone tower rising above the crest of the last hill. It seems peaceful, serene, a place of quiet contemplation, utterly unaware of the violence that is about to befall it. You can hear the distant, gentle sound of bells, a soft, melodic chime that floats on the breeze. It is a sound of peace, of order, of a world that is about to be shattered. The sound seems to mock you, to highlight the brutality of your purpose. But you push the thought aside. Their God may protect their souls, but their stone walls and their faith will not protect their gold. Einar raises a hand. The column of men halts, melting into the tall grasses and scrub of the dunes. You drop to one knee, your eyes fixed on the target. From this vantage point, you can see the layout of the place. A tall, round stone tower, a large stone church, and a collection of smaller wooden and wattle and daub buildings, all enclosed by a low stone wall that is more of a boundary marker than a true fortification. You can see figures moving about inside the enclosure, small, dark-robed shapes, monks. They move slowly, peacefully, going about their daily chores. There are no guards on the walls, no sentries posted. They are like sheep in a pen, utterly oblivious to the wolves gathering outside. The sight fills you with a mixture of contempt and predatory glee. Their weakness is your strength. Their peace is your opportunity. Einar gives the final signals, pointing out the main gate and a section of the low wall that will be your entry points. Your group, led by Gorn, is assigned to the wall. You are to be the first wave, the shock troops who will sow terror and confusion, breaking their will to resist before they can even comprehend what is happening. A signal is given, a single sharp whistle from Einar. It cuts through the air, and in that instant, the silence is broken. A deep, guttural roar erupts from 90 throats, a sound of pure, primal aggression designed to paralyze the enemy with fear. You add your own voice to the cacophony as you surge to your feet and charge up the final slope of the hill. The world explodes into a frenzy of motion. You are no longer creeping. You are running, a torrent of armed men pouring down the hillside towards the unsuspecting monastery. The distance is short, perhaps 200 paces, but it feels like an eternity. Your heart hammers in your chest, your adrenaline-fueled strength making you feel as if you could run forever. You can see the monks now, their heads turning towards the sound of your war cry. You see their faces, pale ovals of confusion, turning to stark terror. They freeze for a moment, unable to process the sight of horned helmets and glinting axes cresting the hill. Then they scatter, running in every direction, their peaceful chimes replaced by their own high-pitched screams of panic. You reach the low wall, your momentum carrying you up and over it in a single fluid motion. You land heavily on the other side, stumbling but keeping your feet. You are inside. The air is different here, smelling of incense, baking bread, and tilled earth. For a fraction of a second, the sheer peace of the place is disorienting. Then your training takes over. Your target is the largest of the wooden buildings, a long hall that looks like it might be a scriptorium or a library. Wealth is not just gold and silver. It is in books, in beautifully illuminated manuscripts that can be sold for a fortune in the markets of Hidibi or Jorvik. You race towards it, your shield up, your axe ready. A monk, his face a mask of terror, runs directly into your path. He is old, his beard white, his eyes wide with a plea for mercy. He holds up a wooden cross as if it could ward you off. For a heartbeat, you hesitate. He is no warrior. He is a defenseless old man. But hesitation is death. Hesitation is weakness. You are a Viking. You are a storm. You shove him aside with your shield, sending him sprawling to the ground, and continue your charge without looking back. You hear a scream behind you, cut short. You do not know if it was the old monk. You do not want to know. You have a purpose. You have a target. The door to the scriptorium is ahead. It is made of thick, solid oak. Bjorn reaches it a moment before you. He does not bother with the latch. He swings his massive axe, and the sound of the blow is like a thunderclap, the wood splintering, the door shuddering on its iron hinges. The raid has begun. The inside of the scriptorium is a world of quiet order, now thrown into chaos by your violent entry. Sunlight streams through high, narrow windows, illuminating dust motes dancing in the air. The room is filled with the scent of old parchment, ink, and beeswax. Tall wooden desks are arranged in neat rows, and on them lie the treasures you have come for. Books, pages of illuminated manuscript, their vibrant colors and gold leaf seeming to glow with an inner light. A handful of monks who had been hunched over their work are now frozen in terror, their faces as white as the pages before them. Their mouths are open in silent screams, their eyes fixed on you and the other raiders who pour into the room behind you. For a moment, there is a strange tableau, a collision of two worlds. The world of silent, scholarly devotion and the world of brutal, acquisitive violence. The moment breaks. One of the younger monks, his courage overriding his fear, snatches a heavy inkwell from his desk and hurls it at you. You see it coming, a dark blur against the bright sunlight. You reflexively bring up your shield, and the inkwell shatters against the wood with a wet thud, spattering dark ink across the painted surface. The act of defiance breaks the spell. The room erupts into a cacophony of shouts, screams, and the splintering of wood. You leap over a bench, your axe held ready. The monks are unarmed and unresisting, trying to scramble away, to hide under their desks. They are not your primary concern. Your eyes scan the room for valuables. You see a large, iron-bound chest against the far wall. It is locked. Bjorn sees it too. He shoves a desk aside with a grunt, sending parchment and quills scattering across the floor. He raises his great axe and brings it down on the lock. The first blow dents the iron. The second shatters the hasp. He throws open the lid. Inside, nestled on a bed of velvet, is a gospel book, its cover a masterpiece of gold filigree and embedded jewels. It is a king's ransom. He grunts in satisfaction, lifting it out. You turn your attention to the desks. You are not here to read. You are here to plunder. You sweep your arm across a desktop, sending a half-finished manuscript fluttering to the floor. You are looking for things that are small, portable, and valuable. You snatch a silver cross, a censer, a small, beautifully carved ivory cone. You stuff them into the leather pouch at your belt. You are not alone in your work. All around you, your comrades are doing the same. A whirlwind of efficient destruction. They are not senselessly destroying. They are harvesting. They smash what is in their way. They terrify and subdue, but their primary goal is loot. You hear a crash from the corner of the room. One of your crew has overturned a tall shelf, sending a cascade of books and scrolls tumbling to the floor. Another is tearing the gold leaf from a page with his knife, letting the priceless manuscript fall, ruined, to the ground. It is a brutal, pragmatic calculus. The gold is valuable. The words are not. Suddenly, a shout comes from the doorway. To the church. They have taken the altar goods to the church. The voice is Einar's. He is directing the chaos, ensuring the raid remains focused and efficient. The main prize is in the house of their god. You need no further encouragement. You turn from the scriptorium, leaving the terrified monks and the ruined manuscripts behind. You emerge back into the sunlight, your eyes taking a moment to adjust. The scene in the monastery courtyard is one of controlled mayhem. Some of your comrades are rounding up livestock, tying the legs of squealing pigs and bleeding sheep. Others are herding a group of terrified monks and novices into a corner of the yard. They are valuable too. A strong young man can fetch a good price in the slave markets. A skilled artisan, even more. You run across the courtyard towards the stone church, its heavy wooden doors already smashed open. The sound of shouting and the clash of metal on metal echoes from within. There is resistance here. As you step through the broken doorway into the gloom of the church, you see why. A small group of monks, perhaps a dozen of them, have barricaded themselves behind the altar, armed with whatever they could find. Heavy candlesticks, iron pokers, even a few old, rusty spears, you guess, were purely decorative. They are led by a large, barrel-chested monk who wields a heavy, iron-bound cross like a warhammer. They are terrified, but they have found their courage, determined to defend their most sacred space. A few of your comrades are facing them. A standoff. The Northumbrian monk roars a challenge in his own tongue, a language you do not understand, but whose meaning is clear. He will not yield. You feel a surge of respect for him. He will die, but he will die bravely. You raise your shield and join the line facing them, your axe held low. The air in the church is thick with the smell of incense and fear. Light streams through the stained glass windows, painting colored patterns on the stone floor, patterns that will soon be slick with blood. The standoff will not last long. You are warriors. They are priests. This will only end one way. The charge is a blur of motion and sound. There is no finesse, no shield wall, just a brutal, overwhelming rush. You surge forward with 5 other men, your combined weight and aggression aimed at shattering the monk's desperate, makeshift battle line. The barrel-chested monk at the center roars and swings his heavy cross in a wide arc. The man next to you, a young raider named Finn, is too slow to raise his shield. The iron-bound wood catches him square in the side of the head with a sickening crunch. He goes down without a sound, his helmet no match for the sheer brute force of the blow. You don't have time to register his fall. You are already past him, your focus entirely on the monk. He is trying to recover his weapon, to bring it back for another swing, but he is too slow. You are inside his guard. You drive the edge of your shield into his face, feeling the cartilage of his nose break under the impact. He staggers back, blood pouring from his shattered face, his eyes wide with shock and pain. He is off balance, exposed. You swing your axe in a low, vicious arc. It bites deep into his thigh, slicing through his robe, through muscle and sinew, until it grinds against bone. He lets out a guttural scream of agony and collapses, the cross clattering to the stone floor. His fall breaks the last of the monk's resolve. Their leader is down, and the ferocity of your attack has broken their spirit. They scatter, trying to flee, but there is nowhere to go. The church has become a trap. What follows is not a battle, but a slaughter. You wrench your axe free from the fallen monk's leg, a geyser of hot blood spattering your tunic. You have no time for him. You move on, your blood singing with the fury of combat. The air is filled with the screams of the dying, the wet, percussive sounds of axe blows, and the triumphant, brutal shouts of your comrades. It is a terrible, exhilarating music. You corner a young monk behind a pillar. He is weeping, his hands held up in a gesture of surrender. He babbles in his own tongue, words you don't understand, but whose meaning is universal. He is begging for his life. You look into his terrified, tear-streaked face, and for a moment, you see not a monk, not an enemy, but just a boy, younger than yourself. But the red rage of battle is upon you. Mercy is a luxury you cannot afford. You bring the butt of your axe, handle down hard on his head. He slumps to the floor, unconscious but alive. He is young and strong. He will be worth something. With the resistance crushed, the methodical looting of the church begins. This is the heart of the monastery's wealth, and you strip it bare with a practiced, dispassionate efficiency. You use your axe to pry open the golden reliquary on the altar, spilling out the yellowed bones of some long-dead saint. You care nothing for the relics, but the box itself is a treasure. You pull down silk and embroidered tapestries from the walls, their intricate designs telling stories of their god that mean nothing to you. They are simply valuable textiles. You find the altar vessels, a golden chalice, a silver paten, a wine flagon crusted with gemstones. You handle them with a rough appreciation, weighing them in your hand, judging their value. You work quickly, stuffing your finds into a large sack. The floor of the church is now littered with the bodies of the dead and dying monks, their dark robes pooling with even darker blood. The colored light from the stained glass windows illuminates a scene of utter desecration. You step over a body, your boots slipping on a patch of blood, and you don't even flinch. You have walled off that part of yourself, the part that feels pity or remorse. It is a skill necessary for survival in this line of work. A shout from Einar at the doorway cuts through the frenzy. Nog, till skippa. Enough. To the ships, the raid is over. You have been on land for less than an hour, but it feels like a lifetime. The element of surprise is gone. Soon, word will spread. A local thane or alderman might be mustering a fyrd, the local militia. It is time to go. You must be back on the sea, back in your own element, before any organized resistance can find you. The retreat is as disciplined and efficient as the attack. You sling the heavy sack of loot over your shoulder and file out of the desecrated church. In the courtyard, the rest of the crew is ready. The livestock has been secured. A line of captives, about 15 of them, including the boy monk you knocked unconscious, are tied together with a long rope around their necks. Their faces are a mixture of terror, despair, and shock. They are now property, their lives and fates no longer their own. You see the body of Finn being carried by 2 of his kinsmen. His face is pale, his head at an unnatural angle. He will not be returning to the fjord. Another man is being helped along, a bloody bandage wrapped around his arm. Your casualties are light. The raid was a success. You take your place in the column of men heading back towards the beach, your legs pumping, your lungs burning, the weight of your plunder a heavy but satisfying burden. You do not look back at the smoking, silent monastery. It is already a part of the past, a story to be told over winter fires. Your mind is on the future, the open sea, the journey home, and the division of the spoils. The run back to the hidden cove is a frantic, adrenaline-fueled race against time. The weight of the looted treasures in your sack is a constant, bouncing reminder of your success. But it is also a deadening burden on your already exhausted body. Your lungs burn, and your legs feel like lead, but you force yourself to keep pace with the others. The fear of being caught on land, of having to face a disciplined shield wall of local firemen, is a powerful motivator. You are a sea wolf, a creature of the waves. On land, you are vulnerable, away from the safety of your longship. The sounds of your retreat are different from the silent approach. Now there is the clatter of looted metal, the bleating of terrified sheep being half dragged, half carried by your comrades, and the sobbing of the captives who stumble along at the end of the rope, their soft monastic slippers ill-suited for the rough terrain. You reach the crest of the last dune and see the cove below. The 3 longships are still there, floating serenely on the calm water, their dragon prows seeming to welcome you back. They are the most beautiful sight in the world. There is no time for rest. The process of loading the ships is a frenzy of controlled chaos. Men wade back and forth through the cold surf, hauling sacks, chests, and livestock aboard. The sheep are unceremoniously bundled over the side, their legs still tied, landing with a panicked bleat on the deck. The captives are herded into the water and forced towards the ships. They are terrified of the sea, many of them having never been on a boat before. One of them, an older, bearded monk, falls to his knees in the shallow water, refusing to go any further, babbling prayers and weeping. He is holding up the line. Bjorn, his face grim and impatient, wades over to him, grabs him by the scruff of his robe, and hauls him bodily towards the ship, throwing him over the gunwale like a sack of grain. You toss your own sack of loot aboard, then climb over the side, your waterlogged clothes making you feel incredibly heavy. You are back in your element. You are safe. The ship is a mess, the once orderly deck now a chaotic jumble of plunder and people. The captured monks are huddled together in the waist of the ship, shivering with cold and fear, their eyes wide with the horror of their situation. The livestock are making a racket, and the deck is slick with a mixture of seawater, mud, and now animal droppings. The men who carried Finn's body bring him aboard and lay him gently on the deck, covering him with his own cloak. There is no time for ceremony now, but his share of the loot will be set aside for his family. His death casts a pall over the victory, a stark reminder of the price of your wealth. Another man, the one with the wounded arm, is being tended to. A grizzled old warrior who has seen 100 such wounds is acting as the ship's surgeon. He cuts away the bloody sleeve of the man's tunic, revealing a deep gash in his forearm. The surgeon pours a generous amount of ale into the wound, and the man cries out, his knuckles white as he grips the side of the ship. The old warrior then takes a needle and thread, and with a steady, practiced hand, he begins to stitch the wound closed, the needle passing crudely through the flesh. It is brutal, but it is necessary. An infected wound at sea is a death sentence. You watch this for a moment, the raw reality of your life laid bare. Glory and gold on one hand, infection and a lonely death on the other. It is a bargain every man on this ship has made. Einar is the last to board. He stands in the stern, his eyes scanning the shoreline one last time. Satisfied that you have not been followed, he gives the command to push off. Men grab the long poles and push against the shingle and sand of the seabed, driving the longship back out into the deeper water of the cove. Once you are clear, the oars are run out again. Your muscles, which had just begun to recover, scream in protest as you take your place on the rowing bench. But there is no choice. You must get away from the coast, out into the open sea, before the alarm is well and truly raised. The commands are given, and you fall back into the familiar, grueling rhythm. Pull, release. Pull, release. The ship glides out of the cove, the coastline of Northumbria receding behind you. You row with a grim determination, the image of the plundered monastery, the dead monks, and the face of your fallen comrade burned into your mind. The sun is beginning to dip towards the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. The raid is over. The survival has just begun. Now you must face the long, hard journey home, a journey across the unforgiving North Sea with a ship full of treasure, livestock, and broken men. The first few hours of the journey away from the Northumbrian coast are a blur of relentless, back-breaking labor. The wind is against you, a stubborn breeze that seems determined to push you back towards the land you just despoiled. So the sail remains furled, and the ship's progress depends entirely on the strength of your arms. Einar pushes the crew hard, his voice a constant, low exhortation to keep the rhythm, to pull harder. He knows that every mile you put between yourselves and the English coast reduces the chance of pursuit. The local thanes might have ships, clumsy cogs, and fishing boats, but they are no match for a longship in the open sea, provided you have a sufficient head start. So you row. You row until your shoulders burn with an acidic fire, until your hands are raw and blistering, until your mind retreats into a numb, thoughtless space where only the rhythm exists. You are a part of a machine, a human engine driving the serpent ship through the waves. The sun sinks below the horizon, and the world turns to a deep star-dusted indigo. The air grows colder, the wind carrying a biting chill. It cuts through your damp clothes. Sometime in the deep of the night, Einar finally judges it safe to rest the crew. The wind has shifted, now coming from the west, a favorable quarter. He gives the command to ship the oars and raise the sail. The collective sigh of relief from the men is a sound of pure, unadulterated gratitude. You pull in your oar, your muscles trembling with a mixture of exhaustion and relief. You watch as the great square sail is hoisted up the mast. It catches the night wind with a satisfying thump, and the ship surges forward, a new sense of life and speed running through its timbers. The hiss of the water along the hull is a soothing sound after the grueling percussion of the oars. The ship is sailing itself now, guided by the steady hand of the helmsman at the steering oar. You are finally allowed a moment of rest. You find your sea chest, your body aching in places you didn't know you had muscles. You are too tired to eat, too drained to even think about the treasures stowed below your bench. The ship has a new, grim atmosphere. The elation of the successful raid has faded, replaced by a somber, weary mood. The presence of Finn's body, a still, cloaked form lying amidst the chaos of the deck, is a constant, silent rebuke to any celebration. He was alive this morning. Now he is a memory, a story of a raid on a distant shore. The captives are another source of the gloom. They are huddled together, a miserable, shivering mass of humanity. One of them is quietly weeping, a low, desperate sound that carries on the wind. You try to block it out, but it is a difficult sound to ignore. It is the sound of a life that has been irrevocably broken. You look at them, at their soft, uncalloused hands, their terrified faces, and you feel a flicker of something ... not pity, perhaps, but a kind of detached curiosity. Their world of bells and prayers and quiet scholarship is as alien to you as your world of axes and longships is to them. You have crashed into their lives like a storm, and now they are part of your cargo, another commodity to be bought and sold. You decide to tend to your gear. It is a ritual that calms you, a familiar task in a world that has been turned upside down. You take out your axe. Its blade is stained with dried blood. You take a wet cloth and carefully wipe it clean, the dark stains coming away to reveal the gleaming patterned steel beneath. You then take out your whetstone and begin the slow, meditative process of honing the edge. The rhythmic scrape of stone against steel is a soothing sound, a small point of order in the chaos of the deck. As you work, you notice Bjorn sitting nearby, his great axe resting across his knees. He is not cleaning his weapon. He is just staring out at the dark, churning water, his face uncharacteristically somber. You know what he is thinking. He and Finn were cousins, raised in the same household. He feels the loss more keenly than anyone. You finish with your axe and put it away. You should try to sleep, but you know it will not come easily. Your mind is a whirlwind of images from the day. The terror on the monks' faces, the spray of blood in the church, the weight of the golden chalice in your hand, the vacant stare in Finn's dead eyes. These are the things that will haunt the quiet moments, the price the mind pays for the body's deeds. You pull your cloak tighter around you, the damp wool a poor shield against the cold of the sea, and the colder chill of memory. You lean your head back against your sea chest and close your eyes, listening to the groan of the ship and the endless sigh of the wind. Dawn breaks, not with the gentle mist of the previous day, but with a harsh, steely light that reveals a turbulent sea. The sky is a bruised purple and gray, and the wind is picked up, whipping the tops of the waves into a frothy spume. The Longship is bucking and pitching in the heavy swell, its flexible hull twisting and groaning with the strain. The journey home will not be an easy one. The mood on board is as dark as the morning sky. The exhaustion of the crew is now compounded by seasickness. Several of the men, including some of the hardened raiders, are leaning over the side, their bodies racked with violent heaves. The captives are in a wretched state, lying listlessly on the deck, too sick and terrified to even move. The deck is awash with a foul mixture of seawater, rainwater, and vomit. The smell is almost unbearable. You are fortunate. Your stomach is strong, hardened by years of sailing, but the constant, violent motion of the ship is draining, requiring a constant tensing of your muscles just to stay upright. Food is distributed, but few have the appetite for it. It is the same fare as always: hard, salty fish and dry bread. You force yourself to eat, knowing you need the strength. You chew the tough fish slowly, your eyes scanning the horizon. There is nothing to see but an endless expanse of angry, gray water. It is a humbling sight, a reminder of your own insignificance in the face of nature's power. You feel a profound sense of isolation, a tiny speck of wood and life in a vast, indifferent wilderness. Your home, your family, feel 1,000,000 miles away. Today is the day for the division of the loot. It is a crucial ritual, not just for distributing wealth, but for reaffirming the bonds of the crew and the authority of the chieftain. Despite the foul weather, Einar decides it must be done. It will raise morale, give the men something to focus on other than their misery. The plunder is brought out and piled in the center of the ship, a glittering, chaotic heap of gold, silver, silk, and gemstones. Even in the bleak morning light, it is a breathtaking sight. The golden gospel book from the scriptorium lies on top, its jewels winking like malevolent eyes. Einar stands over the pile, his feet planted wide against the lurching of the deck. He begins the process, his voice calm and steady amidst the howling of the wind. First, a share is set aside for the owner of the ship, the Jarl who funded the expedition. Then, a special portion is reserved for the families of the fallen. Finn's share is the first to be separated, a small pile of silver and a fine silk tapestry. Bjorn watches this with a stony expression, his jaw tight. Then, Enyor takes his own share as the leader, a larger portion that befits his status. He selects the magnificent gospel book, a prize worthy of a king. No one begrudges him this. His leadership brought them here and will, Odin willing, bring them home. The rest of the treasure is then divided into equal shares, one for every man on the 3 ships. The process is meticulous and fair. Each share is a small mound of wealth, a handful of silver coins, a piece of a chopped-up silver platter, a jeweled ring, a length of silk. When it is your turn, you step forward and collect your share. You hold the cold, hard weight of the silver in your hand. You run your fingers over the smooth, cool surface of a silk ribbon. This is what it was all for. The rowing, the fighting, the killing. All for this small pile of wealth. You look at it, and you feel a strange sense of detachment. It is valuable, yes. It will buy you a new cow, a new roof for your house. But as you look at the raw, angry sea around you, it feels dot small, insignificant. It cannot calm the waves. It cannot warm the wind. It cannot bring Finn back from the dead. You carefully stow your share in your sea chest, wrapping the items in a piece of cloth. The division is complete. The men are quieter now, contemplating their newfound wealth. The mood has lifted slightly, but the grim reality of the journey ahead still hangs over you. Your pockets are heavier with silver, but your home is still hundreds of miles away, across a treacherous sea. And for the first time on the voyage, a sliver of doubt enters your mind. You have the treasure, but will you survive to spend it? The storm, which had been brewing on the horizon, hits you with full force in the afternoon. The sky turns a terrifying, bruised black, and the wind rises to a screaming gale. The sea, which was merely turbulent before, now becomes a liquid mountain range, with waves the size of hills crashing down upon your small vessel. The world is reduced to a roaring chaos of wind and water. The Longship, which seems so strong and powerful, now feels terrifyingly fragile. A mere leaf tossed about on a boiling cauldron. Einar is a rock in the midst of the chaos. He stands at the steering oar, his legs braced, his knuckles white, his face lashed by the torrential rain and spray. He fights the sea, not with brute force, but with a deep, instinctual understanding of its rhythms, turning the ship's prow to meet the largest waves, riding up their steep faces, and then sliding down their backs into the trough behind. Every time the ship slams down into a trough, the impact shudders through the entire hull, a bone-jarring blow that feels like it will tear the planks apart. You are no longer a warrior. You are a sailor, fighting for your life. Your axe and shield are useless against this enemy. Your only weapons are your muscles and your will to survive. The great sail was reefed and lowered long ago. Now, a small storm sail, a tiny patch of reinforced canvas, is raised to give the ship just enough steerage way. Your job, along with every other man who is not actively steering or bailing, is to act as mobile ballast. You huddle on the windward side of the ship, your body low to the deck, adding your weight to help keep the vessel from capsizing. The waves crash over the side in solid sheets of icy water, drenching you, trying to tear you from your grip. You cling to the rope stays, your fingers numb with cold, your body shivering uncontrollably. The cold is a living thing, a predator that gnaws at you, seeping through your wool and leather, chilling you to the bone. You can see the fear in the eyes of the men around you. Even the most hardened veterans are pale-faced, their usual bravado stripped away by the raw, overwhelming power of the storm. The captives are in a pitiable state. They are lying in the bilge water at the bottom of the ship, too weak from sickness and terror to even cry out. You spare them a brief glance. They are going to die. If the storm doesn't kill them, the exposure will. It is a harsh, brutal thought, but you accept it with a fatalistic calm. Their fate is no longer in your hands, or even in Einar's. It is in the hands of Aegir, the god of the sea, and he is in a foul mood today. A massive wave, larger than any before, looms over the ship. It is a moving wall of black water, its crest a terrifying line of white foam. You hear Einar shout a warning, but it is lost in the roar of the wind. You brace yourself, pressing your body as flat against the deck as you can, your face turned away from the impending impact. The wave breaks over you, and for a few terrifying seconds, you are underwater. The weight and force of it are immense, trying to rip you from your hold. The world is a churning, roaring blackness. Your lungs are screaming for air. You hold on, your muscles straining to their absolute limit. Then, just as you feel your grip begin to fail, the ship rises through the water, shaking itself free like a great beast. You gasp for air, spitting out salty water, your heart hammering against your ribs. You have survived, but the ship has been wounded. The wave has torn away a section of the gunwale, and one of the shields that was lashed there is gone, swallowed by the sea. More worryingly, you can see that the mast is leaning at a slight, unnatural angle. The stay ropes on one side have snapped under the strain. If the mast goes, you will lose all control, and the ship will be doomed, destined to be turned broadside to the waves and swamped. Without hesitation, several men, including Bjorn, scramble to secure it. They work with a desperate urgency, their movements clumsy on the slick, heaving deck. They fight to attach new ropes, their fingers raw and clumsy with cold, while the wind howls around them and the sea tries to tear them from the ship. You watch them, feeling a sense of utter helplessness. Your fate rests on their ability to tie a few knots in the middle of a hurricane. It is a stark lesson in the fragility of your existence. You are a Viking, a feared raider, a conqueror of monasteries. But out here, in the heart of the storm, you are nothing. You are just a man, clinging to a piece of wood, praying to whatever gods might be listening. The storm rages for what feels like an eternity. Day blurs into night, and back into a bleak, gray day, without any discernible change in the tempest's fury. Time loses its meaning, measured not in hours, but in the crest and trough of each monstrous wave. You exist in a state of primal survival, your world shrunk to the few feet of heaving deck around you, your thoughts narrowed to the simple, desperate need to hold on. The cold has seeped deep into your marrow, a permanent aching chill that no amount of shivering can dislodge. Your clothes are perpetually soaked, and your skin is raw and chafed. You doze in brief, fitful bursts, your head lolling against your chest, only to be violently jerked awake by another cascade of freezing water. You have stopped feeling fear. The adrenaline has long since burned away, leaving behind a kind of weary, fatalistic acceptance. You will either live through this, or you will die. The choice is not yours to make. Your fate is woven, and the storm is simply the hand that reveals the pattern of the thread. The men who fixed the mast were successful, their desperate repairs holding against the relentless punishment of the wind. They are heroes, though no one has the energy to praise them. Their reward is the same as everyone else's, the simple fact that you are still afloat. The casualty of the storm was not a man, but the cargo. 3 of the captives, the weakest ones, succumbed to the exposure during the second night. Their bodies were unceremoniously committed to the waves, a grim, silent offering to the angry sea god. There was no ceremony, no word spoken. They were simply slid over the side, disappearing instantly into the churning foam. Their loss is noted not with sadness, but with a cold, pragmatic calculus. It is less weight for the ship to carry, more food and water for the rest. Life has been stripped down to its most brutal and essential truths. The livestock, too, have suffered. 2 of the sheep, their legs broken by the violent pitching of the ship, had to be slaughtered. Their fresh meat is a small blessing in this misery, but there is no way to cook it. You are reduced to eating the raw, bloody flesh, tearing at it with your teeth like a wild animal. The warm, coppery taste is shocking after days of dried fish, a visceral reminder of the life that has just been extinguished to sustain your own. On what you believe to be the 3rd day, something changes. The wind, which has been a constant, high-pitched scream, begins to lose its edge, dropping to a deep-throated roar and then to a low, mournful howl. The waves, while still massive, are no longer the sharp breaking peaks of the storm's height. They are becoming longer, more rounded, a sign that the worst of the energy is dissipating. A collective, unspoken feeling of hope begins to flicker on the ship, as fragile as a candle flame in a breeze. Einar, who has barely moved from the steering oar, his face a gaunt, gray mask of exhaustion, allows another man to relieve him for the first time. He stumbles towards the center of the ship and collapses onto his sea chest, falling into a deep, death-like sleep almost instantly. His sheer endurance has been an anchor for the rest of the crew, and seeing him finally rest is the most definitive sign that the crisis is passing. As the afternoon wears on, the sky begins to lighten. The solid ceiling of black cloud breaks apart, and shafts of pale, watery sunlight pierce the gloom, illuminating a sea that is still angry, but no longer trying to actively kill you. The rain subsides into a fine drizzle, and then stops altogether. The transformation is miraculous. The world feels as if it is being reborn from the primordial chaos of the storm. Men begin to stir, to sit up, to look around, as if waking from a long and terrible nightmare. The work of cleaning up begins. The bilge water, a foul soup of seawater, vomit, and filth is bailed out. The deck is scrubbed. Order, slowly and painstakingly, is being restored. You find your own small share of the loot, checking to make sure it is still secure in your chest. The silver and silk seem like relics from another life, another world. It is hard to connect the man who plundered them from a church with the half-drowned creature you have been for the past 3 days. But they are real. You are alive. You have survived the fury of Aegir. The journey home is not over, but you have passed through the heart of the fire, and you have not been consumed. In the aftermath of the storm, a profound quiet settles over the Longship. It is not the tense, predatory silence of the approach to the raid, but a deep, pervasive quiet, born of shared trauma and utter exhaustion. The men move about the deck with a slow, deliberate economy of motion, their bodies aching, their minds numb. Voices are kept low, conversations are brief and practical. The bravado and boasting are gone, washed away by the storm. You have all looked into the abyss, and it has left its mark on you. The sea is now a vast, rolling expanse of deep blue, the sky a high, clear canvas. The sun shines with a genuine warmth that feels like a benediction, slowly drying your clothes, chasing the deep chill from your bones. The ship, battered but unbroken, sails steadily eastward, the favorable wind now a gentle, reliable friend. Your days fall into a new routine, one of recovery and repair. You spend hours meticulously checking the rigging, splicing frayed ropes, and reinforcing the areas of the hull that took the worst of the storm's punishment. You work alongside Bjorn, the two of you using a mallet and wedges to tighten a loose plank near the prow. You work in comfortable silence, the shared ordeal having forged a bond that needs no words. His grief for his cousin Finn is still there, a quiet sadness in his eyes, but it is now overlaid with the grim satisfaction of survival. You are all survivors. You see it in the way the men look at each other, a shared glance of understanding and respect. You have been tested together, and you have endured. The remaining captives are a constant, somber presence. There are 9 of them left. They are weak, malnourished, and utterly broken in spirit. They huddle together, speaking in low, frightened whispers, their eyes following your every move. They are no longer treated with overt brutality. The crew simply does not have the energy for it. Instead, they are treated with a kind of detached indifference, like livestock. They are given a small share of the food and water, just enough to keep them alive. Their value lies in their survival, and you are now protecting your investment. One afternoon, Ulf the navigator calls Einar over, pointing to the north. You follow his gaze and see a distant flock of birds, flying with purpose. It is a sign. Land is not far. Not your own land, but land nonetheless. Einar consults with Ulf, and a decision is made to alter course slightly. A few days later, you sight it, the jagged, treeless coast of the Orkney Islands. It is a welcome sight, a chance to make landfall, to feel solid ground beneath your feet, to find fresh water and food. The Orkneys are a familiar place to you, a Norse stronghold in this part of the world, a place of Viking settlements, a home away from home. As you guide the Longship into a sheltered fjord, you see the unmistakable signs of a Norse settlement. A few longhouses with turf roofs, a small wooden jetty, and the smoke of cooking fires rising into the clear air. The sight of it, the simple domesticity, fills you with a longing for your own home that is sharp and painful. You drop anchor in the fjord, and for the first time in what feels like months, you step onto dry land. The sensation is disorienting. The ground feels strangely still and solid beneath your feet after so many days of the sea's constant motion. You feel clumsy, your sea legs struggling to adapt. The people of the settlement, fellow Norsemen, come out to greet you. They can see the state of your ship, the weariness in your faces, and they know you have been through an ordeal. They offer you hospitality without question. That evening, you sit inside a longhouse, a fire roaring in the central hearth, the air thick with the smell of wood smoke and roasting meat. You are given fresh bread, cheese, and most importantly, a horn full of strong, dark ale. The taste is magnificent, a balm to your soul. You eat and drink your fill, the warmth of the fire seeping into you, the solid earth beneath you, the friendly chatter of your hosts, a soothing murmur. It is a moment of pure, unadulterated pleasure, a respite from the harshness of your world. You look around at your crewmates, their faces ruddy in the firelight, their spirits finally beginning to lift. You have made it. You have found a safe harbor. The final leg of the journey home still awaits, but tonight you are safe, and that is all that matters. You spend 3 days in the Orkney settlement, a period of much-needed rest and recuperation. You sleep on a bed of fragrant heather inside the longhouse, a profound luxury after the cold, damp deck of the ship. The deep, dreamless sleep heals your exhausted body and calms your frayed nerves. You spend your waking hours making proper repairs to the Longship, feasting on the fresh food provided by your hosts, and trading stories by the fireside. The tale of your raid on the Northumbrian monastery is told with great embellishment, the number of defenders growing with each telling, the value of the treasure magnified. Finn's death is recounted with solemn gravity, his name and his bravery immortalized in the story. You are heroes here, your success a source of pride for your Norse kinsmen. The captives are kept under guard near the ships, their presence a stark physical proof of your victory. You sell one of them, the oldest of the remaining monks, to the settlement's chieftain in exchange for a side of cured pork, a new sailcloth, and several barrels of fresh water. The transaction is purely business, a simple exchange of goods. The monk weeps as he is led away, but you turn your back, your mind already on the journey ahead. Finally, the day of departure arrives. The Longship is fully repaired and restocked. The crew is well rested, their spirits restored. As you prepare to leave, you say your farewells to your hosts. There is an exchange of gifts, a confirmation of the bonds of kinship and mutual support that tie the Norse world together. You feel a sense of renewed purpose as you climb back aboard the Longship. The final leg of your journey lies ahead, the crossing from Orkney to your home fjord in Norway. The weather is with you. A strong, steady wind blows from the west, promising a fast and direct passage. The sail is raised, and the ship pulls away from the shore, the cheers of the settlers fading behind you. You are truly heading home now. The mood on the ship is light, almost joyful. The horrors of the storm and the brutality of the raid have faded into the background, transformed into a story that will be told for generations. The focus now is on the future, on the homecoming. Men talk excitedly about what they will do with their share of the loot, the land they will buy, the debts they will pay, the wives and children they will see. You find yourself caught up in the excitement. You take out the small carved wooden horse from your sea chest, the one your daughter gave you. You hold it in your palm, its smooth, familiar shape a powerful connection to the life that awaits you. You picture your daughter's face, your wife's smile. You imagine the look on their faces when you present them with a bolt of fine English silk, a silver brooch. You have done this for them. You have faced death and damnation for them. The thought fills you with a fierce, protective pride. The days on the sea are long but peaceful. You fall into an easy routine of sailing, mending gear, and talking with your comrades. You play games of Nephidaf on a carved wooden board, the strategic battle between the king's men and the attackers a pale imitation of the real battles you have fought. You listen as Bjorn, his voice a low rumble, tells sagas of the gods and heroes of old, of Odin's quest for wisdom and Thor's battles with the giants. These stories are the bedrock of your world, a way of understanding your place in the cosmos, of making sense of a life of chaos and violence. One morning, you awake to a familiar smell on the wind. It is not the damp, earthy smell in Northumbria, but a sharper, cleaner scent. It is the smell of pine needles and cold, clear water. It is the smell of Norway. It is the smell of home. A cry goes up from the man at the prow. Land. You scramble to your feet, your heart leaping into your throat. And there it is. A dark, jagged line on the eastern horizon. The unmistakable silhouette of the mountains that guard your coastline. A great, spontaneous cheer erupts from the crew. Men are clapping each other on the back, laughing, pointing. Some have tears in their eyes. You feel a lump in your own throat. A powerful wave of emotion that surprises you with its intensity. After all the hardship, all the fear, all the death, you have made it. You are home. The dragon prow of your longship is pointed towards your fjord, a weary, triumphant serpent, finally returning to its lair. The entrance to your home fjord is a majestic, familiar sight. Towering cliffs of dark granite rise on either side, their peaks still dusted with snow, even in the summer months. Waterfalls cascade down their sheer faces, their spray catching the morning sun and creating fleeting rainbows. The water in the fjord is a deep, tranquil green, a stark contrast to the angry gray of the open sea. This is your land, your world, and every rock and tree is known to you. As the longship glides deeper into the fjord, you begin to see the signs of your settlement. The smoke from longhouse chimneys, the green of the pastures where cattle graze, the small figures of people moving along the shore. A watchman on the headland has spotted you. A horn blows, its long, mournful note echoing off the cliffs. It is a signal of your arrival. People begin to emerge from the longhouses, running down to the wooden jetty to greet you. They are your families, your neighbors, your people. The atmosphere on the ship is electric. Men are grooming themselves, combing their tangled hair and beards, trying to make themselves presentable after the long weeks at sea. You do the same, splashing your face with the cold fjord water, running a bone comb through your beard. You want to look like a successful warrior, not a half-drowned sailor. You stand tall as the longship approaches the jetty, your shield on your arm, your axe at your belt. This is the moment of triumph, the culmination of your journey. You scan the crowd on the shore, your eyes searching for two familiar faces. And then you see them. Your wife, her hand raised to shield her eyes from the sun, and your daughter, a small figure standing beside her, clutching her dress. Your daughter sees you. She points, her face breaking into a wide, joyous smile. She begins to wave frantically. In that moment, all the hardship, the fear, the blood, and the pain of the journey melts away, replaced by a profound, overwhelming sense of love and belonging. This is why you did it. This is the ultimate treasure. The longship bumps gently against the jetty, and ropes are thrown and secured. Before the gangplank is even down, you leap from the ship to the shore, your heart pounding. Your daughter runs to you, and you sweep her up into a great, fierce hug, burying your face in her hair, breathing in the familiar, innocent scent of her. She is laughing and crying at the same time. Your wife is there a moment later, her hand on your arm, her eyes shining with tears of relief and love. You look at her, and in her face, you see all the sleepless nights, all the worry, all the prayers she sent to Frigg for your safe return. You are home. The rest of the crew is experiencing similar reunions all around you. Laughter and joyous shouts fill the air. The story of your raid will be told, the treasure will be admired, and Finn's loss will be mourned properly with his family. The remaining captives are led off the ship, their journey over, their new lives as slaves about to begin. You give them only a passing glance. They are a part of a world that you are already leaving behind. Later that evening, you sit by your own hearth in your own longhouse. The fire crackles, casting a warm golden glow on the familiar faces of your family. Your daughter sits on your lap, playing with the silver brooch you brought for her. Your wife is humming a soft tune as she mends a tunic. The small, ordinary sounds of your home are the most beautiful music you have ever heard. You are no longer a wolf of the sea. You are a husband, a father, a farmer. You look at your hands, calloused and scarred from the oar and the axe. They have taken life. They have grasped treasure. But now they are home, where they belong. The sea will call to you again. The promise of silver and glory will tempt you. It is the Viking way. But tonight, you are at peace. You close your eyes. The warmth of the fire on your face, the weight of your daughter in your lap, the sound of your wife's humming in your ears. You are safe. You are home. You have survived. And so, our journey comes to a quiet end. The roaring of the storm and the clang of the axe fade into the gentle crackle of a familiar hearth. The vast, indifferent gray of the North Sea dissolves into the warm, intimate glow of home. The threads of fate, which were pulled so taut in the heart of the raid, now lie soft and peaceful in the quiet of the evening. The images of that distant, violent shore begin to soften, their sharp edges blurring as sleep begins to draw its gentle curtain across your mind. The world of the Longship, with its hardships and its grim treasures, drifts away now, becoming just a story, a whisper on the wind. There is only the feeling of stillness, the sense of safety, the slow, easy rhythm of your own breathing. The great serpent ship has found its harbor, and the weary raider has found his rest. And now you can find yours too, letting the last echoes of the past drift away, leaving only the deep, untroubled quiet of the night.